What is up, everyone? Welcome to a brand new, fresh Deli slice of the You're Still Here podcast. We got a new episode for you today. It's been a little bit. We got some things to talk about. As always, we have plenty of things to talk about. Do you want to know why? Because inside my mind, there are a lot of thoughts, a lot of ghostly thoughts, a lot of thoughts that you people would be sent the other way. You would never even continue to watch this if you knew some of the thoughts that were going on behind my noggin right now. And I say that because I don't know if you guys saw this. I don't know who draws up these articles. I don't know where they come from, but a recent revelation showed that the majority of Gen Z has no inner monologue.
Hi, I'm Olivia Rivera, and I don't have an internal monologue.
They have no inner monologue. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with this term, but I became very familiar with this term when I was taking acting classes and whatnot, because one of your preparations, you know, the who, what, where, when, why, what's your objective? What's your objective? What are you going for in the scene? Well, one of the things that you had to work out along the way was the inner monologue. For example, I'll give you a little acting exercise. When somebody asks you a question, what's that person's name? How do you perform something like that? And how does it look realistic? Well, when somebody asks you, so do you remember the name of that pitcher? What do you start? You start thinking, oh, well, what is it, John? Yeah. So normally the inner monologue that you'd prepare ahead of time, now you don't think of the names, but you prepare yourself to think for the names. Like the inner monologue of somebody asked a question of what was the name of that pitcher who pitched in that thing? It would be like, oh, was it Nolan Ryan? And all those things that are going on rolling behind your eyes, that's an inner monologue. And having that is, you know, how human beings work. That's up until now. If you guys needed any more confirmation that everything I've been telling you, one of the biggest problems, and I just encountered this walking into the Islanders-Panthers game. The classic older guy overheard me talking to some of my friends, and I said this to one of my friends. I said, I would never hire somebody who's born, I don't want to say the year because many of you are going to get pissed off. I would never hire someone born after year blank. And then the guy leans in. You know, we said that about the previous generation, and they said, I looked like, you think I don't know about the previous generations rolling over? I fully understand that. Comedy rolled over from generations. That's completely gone. All sorts of things rolled over from generations. I already talked about how your great-grandfather can give your grandfather dating advice on when a girl's mad at you, what to do. And your grandfather can then give that advice to your father. And then your father can give that to you. And then you to like, oh yeah, just call her and tell her how you feel. Dad, a girl hasn't picked up a phone and said hello in 22 years. They're blocking you on Snapchat so you can't track their location anymore. You get left on red, and then the new dads are just like, oh, what? There is a vortex. The Y2K happened after the fact. And now you got these Gen Z kids, and I have no hatred for them. They're way better looking than previous generations, I'll tell you that. But they claim they have no inner monologue. Do you know what that translation is? They have no thoughts. Zero thoughts. Zero thoughts is the translation of that. And how do you develop zero thoughts? Well, you pull out that phone and basically Gen Z is admitting to being a Westworld bot. One that was just, one of those bodies in a room that they just didn't program any of the CPU into. They're just sitting there waiting for a command to pick up okay, I go here now. Who would have thought they're having a hard time getting a job? You see these videos like, oh yeah, I just saw one yesterday. I have 2 degrees.
I have 2 degrees. Oh, and a certificate. A little extra, right? I have a certificate. May not be a master's, but it's something extra along with the 2 degrees, you know? I'm trying to apply for jobs right now, and the thing is that the only person I have responding to me is a man from a tech company saying, hey, you want to answer some customer service problems? You want to answer some customer service calls? No, Bart, I don't want to answer your calls. No, no offense, but I'm a little more qualified than to just to be sitting around answering your customer service calls. Bart, okay? I'm sorry, but Bart is the only one who's responding to me. So what am I supposed to do? And I'm looking down at these and I'm looking at them and I'm kind of wondering. I'm like, what was this for again? Oh, I don't know.
Well,
beats me.
You should have watched this scam of the week, because the biggest scam, this is a known thing. I'm not going to cue the music or anything like that, because if you're a new watcher of this show, I'm, for the most part, have a scam of the week. And these scams, they range from everything of my scam to how to talk to a girl at the gym without being judged by all the people looking in, to how to beat someone on the subway, to how to get out of jury duty in one state, all sorts of things. And then scams that are perpetrated towards you. And then sometimes I find scam. You want that? You want a quick scam of the week? No, because if I just go to that right now, I'm going to forget about some of the stuff that I'm talking about in the moment. And this is what happens with me. This is the part of the journey of this show. When you watch this podcast, it's a journey. That's what everyone's saying now. And I'm keeping track of what I'm supposed to be talking about. Everybody calls things a journey now. Oh, that's part of my health journey. Oh, you mean you were a slob and now you're trying not to be one? No, that's just called your dieting. Everything's a journey. Oh, it's part of my journey. Oh, yeah. You were kind of slutty in college. No. Yeah, I think you're misconstruing everything. Look at me today, and everything is a part of that journey. Oh, journey, using journey to discuss anything, my health journey, my love journey. It's all to obscure the things that you shouldn't have been doing along the way. That's what it is. Calling something a journey kind of justifies some of that poor behavior. And I'm not judging. I got plenty of poor behavior. But if I started gaining weight, which I have done, I look at myself and go, you are disgusting. There's no journey in that. That's just a little harsh self-evaluation. That's some of my inner monologue. Now, I have to somehow I'm lost. I went too far down the other path. I thought I could step backwards like the kid in The Shining through my own footsteps, but I know I opened up talking about that inner monologue. Gen Z wouldn't hire them. They have no thoughts of their own. It's all because of TikTok and all this stuff. Oh, I thought my way back to it. Then there were the videos about people like these Gen Z kids say, I can't afford anything. I can't even get a job using my degree. Yes, because that's college. For me, personally, that's the number one scam.
There's no scam.
That's a scam of the century. Yeah, that's a good 100-year scam.
It wasn't planned.
It's definitely more than that. Yeah, that's the scam of the century. College is the scam of the century once they started making it expensive, and then you get an awful job afterward. You can't pay for anything, including your rent. You can't afford your rent. Nobody can afford rent anymore. You want to know why? You're probably thinking because it's absurdly expensive. It's not keeping up with the wages, and they're going up, and the price of the apartment is going up, but the price of wages aren't going up to the same extent. Well, you actually are correct in that. But there's another reason. It's bad enough. Those are the chair shots that you're taking right to the back. Well, you want to know the one you're taking right to the face? The scam of the week.
It's a scam.
That's a scam.
What a scam that was.
So this was all a scam, huh?
And this is one that should have been talked about for a long time. Real estate brokers. I'm not kidding you. If you cheat on your wife or you cheat on your husband once a month, you are still a higher caliber of individual than real estate brokers. They are criminals. I just saw on Twitter some AI representation of hell, and it's pretty absurd. There's just like lava and people coming out of it. Is that really what hell would be like? I'm in a constant state of swimming out of lava. Oh! Eventually, it's not torture if I'm doing that. You do that for 300 years, that just becomes the new life. Anyway, real estate brokers, they belong down there because this is what they do. Now, I can't speak for all. I know I probably have some viewers in Germany. I don't know I don't know how the hell you get an apartment over there. Maybe you just knock on the door and say, can I live here? But in New York, the tri-state area, they run one of the biggest scams ever. And here's what you do if you want to move, right? You have to go to a real estate broker. You can find out an apartment's available on your own. They don't let you submit an application to any of the places that you'd actually want to live. You're forced. You don't have the option to not do this. You have to go through a middleman, this real estate broker. So you find that apartment yourself. You find the one you want. You want to schedule an appointment. A person just shows up in front of the building, opens the door, and then, do you want to know what you owe them? It used to be a month's rent. Now they do this thing called, 10%. 10% of the year, because it wasn't enough to rob you of 1 month. But now they up it to 10%. And do you want to know what they do? They open the door and you walk around and you go, okay, this is where I want to live. And then you pay them $3,000, because that's, if you're a random working person in New York, how much you're going to be paying to live by yourself. Yeah, sure, you can have roommates, you can do this, that, and the other. But in the event you want to live by yourself and you need a $3,000 place, a guy opens the door and then you pay him $3,000 for doing that. And I understand if you hire it like an agent who's sending you on auditions and someone, hey, we got this great place, everything you asked for. Like, this doesn't involve people who go through a rigorous process of looking at houses, scouting the type of house that you want, and then going with you and checking out these places and seeing everything with them. And it's part of a journey. It's part of the journey of finding a place. I'm talking about these rat bastards. Like I said, people who cheat on their significant others every single week are a higher caliber of individual than somebody who can just take money from somebody else for doing absolutely nothing. And if you're saying to yourself right now, well, I mean, they showed up and opened the door. Oh, $3,000 for opening a door. What about if they don't open the door? Because there are plenty of instances. These are real world verified instances where they don't even show up. I've gotten this. This happened within one week ago. Knock on the door, the tenant should be home. So I go to the place, the tenant opens the door. This person was texted, what's the exact square footage again? They said, ask the current tenant. So they had none of the information. They didn't even show for the crazy act of unlocking a door. And then they just said, ask the current tenant for any questions that you have. And if I want that place, I gotta send that guy $3,000. I'd rather live in a hut that I built myself on a beach where something bad can happen to me in the middle of the night than send that guy $3,000. It's just not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. I will moonwalk across a river somehow like some biblical persona just to get to work, than to give $3,000 to a person like that and then forget about that. So now just to apply, there are fees. Oh yeah, I mean you gotta pay for the fee. You gotta apply. So yeah, you give me $3,000, then we send in money for an application, and then you have to show like 20 times the rent in salary or something like that. Maybe it's even more than that. Maybe it's 50. All I know is, theoretically, if you want an apartment in New York City, you have to be making $645,000. That's how you can actually qualify with the current minimums. And yet every single building, every single apartment's rented out, you're just jacking up rent. Everyone's laughing. I don't know a single person who's happy with their job or makes a lot of money. What is going on? There are massive scams going on all over the place. And the real estate, the fact that you can't present this to a court. I'm not allowed to submit for an apartment myself. I'm not allowed to search for an apartment I want to live in. I'm forced to go through the mafia of apartments, real estate brokers. Part of my journey, I'm going to take these real estate brokers down. I have a whole hell of a lot of things that I got to do first. I got to be in a Top Gun sequel. I got to get my videos better. I got to do that. But once we bend around, I'm just an older guy and I want to take on a new fight, it's going to be to screw real estate brokers. Yeah, you watching right now? You better enjoy this next 15 years because you're on my laundry list at the end. You despicable rat bastards.
You know what I smell? I smell a scam.
If that wasn't enough, this real estate broker scam, they actually, now this is more of the conspiracy theory mindset, but if you want to move into a cheaper apartment, so like, you know what? This building's too expensive now. I want to find the cheaper apartments are always the exact price that isn't worth moving once you realize that you have to re-spend for a broker fee, all the moving costs and whatnot. You always end up realizing, oh, over 12 months, I'm actually just saving like $200. So at that point, what do? Stay. It's like blackmail. You're forced. It's a 3-point scam where you can't move because it's not worth it. So we're going to jack up your rent an absurd amount. You can't afford any of it. You have to pay thousands of dollars for a fee for this real estate broker.
What a scam.
We'll call this one a scam of the decade because, you know, even if you're looking at 15, 20 years ago when the apartments were considerably more affordable and then the aforementioned wages and costs of living were at least somewhat more aligned, you can't say it's the scam of the decade. But as you're seeing increasing distance growing between those two things, you real estate brokers really are rat bastards. Borderline. No, I'll say it. You are rotten tomato bastards. And that is the scam of the decade. So back to back, you got the scam of the century in college. That's number one on the Family Feud board, but don't think real estate brokers are not good enough to make it. The only thing that they can hold some hope on is maybe that's a state-by-state basis. Maybe you Canadians are, something tells me you guys are getting destroyed in Canada. Everything I read is that you want to buy a pickle in Canada, it's $48. There's no way that the apartment situation is a beautiful one up there.
That would cost a fortune.
That all started because of the Inner Monologue, which eventually rolled into talking about scam of the week, scam of the century, this, that, and the other. You guys would never want to hear my inner monologue, by the way. Like these Gen Z kids, they claim they have no inner monologue. Everything you hear on this show, this might be like 1% of what's going on through my mind on a daily basis. Like if you were to just hear the thoughts, you ever see Transformers when that like mini Decepticon, when it takes over Shia LaBeouf and he's actually in a classroom? You know, it's kind of like, oh, I forget the guy from, I forget the name of the actor who's the teacher in this scene, but Shia LaBeouf is in a college class, a Decepticon takes him over, and he just starts talking. He's like,
break down the elemental components of energy on a single constant K rate, extrapolate reach of the...
If you guys got into my head,
what about the other 17?
That's exactly what it would be. Oh my God, I saw that girl walking to the thing. She's incredible. I don't know if she has been here before. I bet she has a boyfriend. I can't have a bunch of people look at me if I'm going to go outdoors. So how about I do an exercise right by the door, and then when she walks out, I can also walk out, and then I can talk to her on the way to the car, and then she can think I'm leaving too, even though I didn't leave. So I'm going to, once she goes around, I'm going to walk down the block and then turn around and go back into the gym. That is what's going through my mind. Well, now that we got that out of the way, I guess we can just get to hanging out, get back to some of the good times. I assume that's why you're here, right? You like to hang out. But apparently that's not the case with everybody, because another thing I just saw, this was an actual article. This was an article put behind a paywall in a newspaper. People aren't hanging out anymore. Here's why. Pay $49.99 per month. Can you believe that? I want to know, because I know they have the metrics. How many signups did they get for a year of the New York Times because people wanted to know why everybody wasn't hanging out? I already told you guys this a good, year or two ago. I was telling you, there's no such thing as going on dates anymore. The new date is somebody saying, oh yeah, I'll go on a date with you, because 100% of plans are canceled. Nobody actually does anything. It's the thought where people go, oh yeah, no, I'm going out with her Wednesday. I mean, they never go out. But once a girl says yes, the date is complete. That's the end of the date, because there's a 100% cancel rate, because everybody is an aforementioned rat bastard, and we've lost all that stuff. I told you, I'm the same guy who used to be considered a dirtbag. I'm the same guy. But now, because I show up at parties and actually want to do things, I'm a good guy. I haven't changed. It's the walls around me that have, and people just don't hang out anymore. You can't really blame everybody, though, because if you are home and you are one of the mindless, zero inner monologue Gen Z kids, you see who's out there. You seen who's on TikTok? You seen who's on Instagram? You see what these people are doing out there? I don't know if I would necessarily want to hang out either. And also, it's not just the prices of apartments going up. Oh, yeah, there are $40 drinks out there. $40. And I might buy one. Yet I still won't rent a movie until it comes down from the $16.99. There's a disgusting horror movie. It looks awful. It looks awful. I can't remember the name of it, but the trailer, the person's in a pool, and then there's like something in the pool. This is a movie. It's still at $14.99. And I can outwait all of these. It's been 6 months. When I was a kid, when a movie came out, you'd have to like wait 7 months for it to be in Blockbuster. Eventually it was there. This movie, I got to give him credit. It's a garbage horror movie, and you guys know I love those. And it's still $14.99. So this couple of minutes that you're listening to on the podcast, I had to record after the fact. I finished recording the podcast. I went about my day-to-day life, and then a couple of events transpired, some of the natural variety that pertain to exactly what I was talking about when filming the podcast. So I said, rather than put this on ice when people forget, I'm going to record this, talk about it, and hopefully I can find the right area to insert it in. Well, I was talking about how nobody hangs out anymore. The New York Times article, nobody's hanging out anymore. And then I was saying how that's just kind of piggybacking off of what I said about the new hangout, the new date. You go on a date with someone, them saying, oh yeah, I'll go. That is the new date. No one ever actually goes on a date. There's a 100% cancellation rate. Nobody does anything anymore. Nobody hangs out. And I don't know if you've been paying attention to the news, if you stay up to date on current events, or if you're just a science guy in general. You have a, what is it called? You have a Richter scale around your house. I was going to say like a Geiger meter is from Ghostbusters. Anyway, something to detect earthquakes, or you just read the news and you saw that there was an earthquake, the biggest earthquake in 100 years in the Northeast. It was like a 4.8, and they say there's like 300 of those per day or something like that. And it was in Jersey. And what do you think that means? You think that means like, oh my God, something happened, and I know people who had plans canceled on them that night because they used the earthquake as an excuse to get out of going on a date. So they were supposed to go out. Then you get that 6 o'clock text. Like, oh, I don't know. I'm all shook up from that earthquake. I don't think I can go tonight. Oh, I understand. After a 4.8 earthquake, I mean, I guess you just kind of sit in a room all balled up, wondering how you're going to continue on with life. How about tomorrow? Oh, I think that's when I have to take my brother to the airport. It's just great for people when an earthquake happens. I say, oh my God, finally a new excuse, because the excuses people use are just I didn't see this on my phone. I'm on Instagram 9 hours a day, making TikTok, doing dances left and right. I'm moonwalking down alleys. Didn't see my phone. And now they had the earthquake as an excuse. And it was used to cancel. I'm all shook up post-earthquake depression. And you knew they would do that. This is where we're at. And then, aside from natural disasters like earthquakes, all 4.8 magnitude ones, there are those planned events like the eclipse that just took place. We already know how Gregorian screwed us with the calendar. I went outside, but there's not a single leaf on any of the trees, and supposedly we're in the middle of spring. It's freezing out there at Yankee Stadium. But, people are going to come out, celebrate Gregorian, and try to enjoy their solar eclipse. What was it, a solar eclipse, a lunar eclipse? I don't give a rat's ass eclipse was what it was. But you know what I would have done? I would have used that as an excuse, like half-baked style, to ask someone on a date. These people now, they want 5-star treatment. You see these TikTok videos, and the guy tried taking me out for coffee. Yeah, well, let's go see the eclipse. Let's go to the park and be a part of history. That's what it would have been, like a Dave Chappelle in half-baked date, where you see the change counter guy. cost you a grand total of $3.51.
3 hours and 14 miles later, and I hadn't spent one penny. Damn, I was good.
Those are growing far and few between. So the next time Gregorian has one of those eclipses on the calendar, yeah, you try to line up that date. So you don't have to spend $375 just not to get called back and ghosted.
Dang.
So mark down the next calendar, and then the next time there's an earthquake, you can just cancel on everyone. I wonder how many, did people just say, I can't work today, I got to go home. That earthquake, it's got me all shook up. All right, that's all I had to tell you. Enjoy the rest of the originally taped episode.
I'm all shook up.
So hanging out, that's something that I love doing. I am a huge Cosmo Kramer hangout guy. I'll walk to a friend's house, I'll sit in there, just put something on the TV. But I'll tell you one thing I am not. Let's get together. Let's get a drink after work. Let's get a drink. Getting a drink is the worst thing ever. I'm an all or nothing type of guy. If I'm going to have a drink, now it's going to be a plethora of them, and it's not going to be, right after I'm out for the night and the drinks are pouring in. The post-work drink is one of the dumbest things, because what happens? You have 1 to 2 drinks. And if you have 2 drinks, 1 drink, you can pray that you're a normal guy, you're standard Andy after that. But anything you may have wanted to do after work is now beheaded by that drink and a half, because you know the post-drink, post-work vibe. You have drinks after work and you roll in your front door. You go into that gym with that weird, it's not a buzz, it's the thing before a buzz, a pre-buzz. Now you're yawning, you're finished. You're doing nothing productive. And then you're just a guy laying around waiting to go to sleep and repeat. I hate the individual drink. I almost decline it every time, but I'm a huge, yo, you want to come by and I'll watch a random old movie. I'll come by, yeah, let's watch that. I'm a random hangout guy. And maybe that's some of the vibes that I elicit here. I mean, you can take your pick of any of the movies that we got around here. I'll be happy to watch any of them, because we all know that the movies that they put out there these days, good ones are far and few between. However, maybe I'm a little biased because I'm predisposed to 90s wrestling. If you ever watch any of my shows, I mean, if you look around, there's going to be some wrestling stuff somewhere. I got The Rock's autograph right over there. But I watched The Iron Claw, which is a story about the Von Erichs. And I could say everybody I watched with, there were 0 affiliated wrestling watchers, and they all enjoyed it very much. Oh, and also, when it comes to holding out, it doesn't matter whether it's a movie at $14.99 or my AT&T unlimited data plan. After college, I moved to LA. I was able to get an unlimited data plan, and they are now extinct. They've been extinct for years, but I'm grandfathered in, and they're trying everything under the sun to get me to change any change in your plan at all. I'm talking about the slightest detail, and it goes away. And I am holding out with the best of them. They're trying to bump me off. So I lived in LA. I got that number. It was an LA number. They said, when I tried to change my number, like, oh, then we're going to need a new plan. I go, no, that's all right. They go, I thought but you're not living in LA anymore. I go, no, it's all right. I want to be the LA and New York guy. I'm going to say, yeah, I know I grew up in LA. They got pissed. The guy was like, okay, so you're going to keep the Los Angeles number now that you're back in New York? I say, you got that right, because I'm not giving in. I want that. And I told him, I go, and I'll be watching things. I'll be watching things on my phone, a whole hell of a lot of them. And don't you think about throttling. Yeah, we took you to court last time. Remember that? When you got caught throttling and then you had to refund all of us a little bit. You throttle me, you're going to have to refund some of that, but I'll be watching. What's your favorite show? What's your favorite show? What is it? How about when you were a kid? Boy Meets World. That's what you like. I'm not going to lie. I kind of liked it too. Well, I'm going to watch the whole thing on Netflix. Unlimited data. So I can hold out with the best of them. And there was a good 10-year holdout with Amazon free shipping. You guys should have seen me like a mathematician. Remember, it used to be like, what, $25 and you get free shipping? I would add singular Tic Tacs for pennies to try to get that thing to $25 to get the free shipping. And every time it would say, are you sure you want to wait 4 days? The free shipping will get it there tomorrow. You just got to do Amazon Prime. And I'm a no. I mean, you're talking about decades. I was a winner. I did eventually give in, but it took a lot. You guys probably know what the tiebreaker was. They couldn't get me on that front. I didn't need my, printing cartridges that quickly. I didn't need anything that quickly. They got me when they introduced NFL, like most people, NFL only rights, the same way they got people to sign up for Peacock. That's what eventually made me say, okay, Mocha Joe, but that's different. You got to give me an exemption. I'm a fighter to the bitter end with a bunch of things. As I told somebody, I'll change my whole life just to screw one, but somebody said something I didn't like. The whole course of my life will change. I'll move to St. Louis because someone said I would never be able to do that. My whole life will change out of sheer stubbornness. But Amazon, they got me. They got me in the long run, but at least it wasn't, they defeated me on the second front. I'm not the only superpower who lost a war because it had to be fought on two fronts. Oh my God. Yes, so that's what I did there. So now, I just do whatever little wins I can get. Like I have absurd names on my Amazon shipments. That somehow is a victory on my part. I've actually been doing that for years. I don't know if you guys know this. I don't know if you're aware. Anything you purchase online, you're like, oh, make sure your name and stuff matches your credit card. That's all a lie. It's all a big lie. And I'm 100% sure of it. You want to know why? Because I just got a bunch of drinks with the name Tony Pepperoni sent to me. If you guys saw what was sent to me, my shipments, I have every name from Richard Roma to Tony Pepperoni, any sort of name. Bernie Lomax, he's been sent shipments. I've been Stone Cold Steve Austin, the full thing. Stone Cold Steve Austin has had multiple shipments sent here. And that's because the only thing that needs to match is the zip code. You can put the zip code and that other thing in the back, the CV to whatever the hell that is, and you're good. So I encourage you the next time you're filling out anything, and who knows, maybe in the long run, if somebody screws you, you get your identity stolen, somebody purchases things, you can say, look, that's not me. Whoever did, that's Tony Pepperoni. I would never do something like that. Who would put Tony Pepperoni? I don't know, a guy who has some of the most wacky inner monologue you've ever heard in your life.
Pepperoni Tony.
Anyway, I hope you guys are all doing good now that the weather's theoretically getting a little warmer. Baseball's starting up. That's always the benchmark, right? No, it's not. It's been freezing everywhere. You guys know the deal. But somebody brought up a great point, because I think between last episode and now, daylight savings time, daylight scammings time has been thrust upon us yet again. Always want to give a shout out to Arizona, who refuses. They're like me with the $14.99 movie and the unlimited data. They said, I'm not doing it. No, Arizona, you got to do it. Every other state's doing it. The last one, you got to do it. No more unlimited data. I ain't changing the clocks. I'll see you in 6 months when you're back on my level. And that's exactly what they did. And kudos to them. Somebody brought up a great point that I saw. Why the hell is it that you got to change the clocks at like 3 in the morning or 2 in the morning? There's not a single person who isn't discombobulated, whether you're a late person and you're up and then the thing jumps forward or gets pulled back. You want to know when it's very simple? 4 o'clock on a Friday. 4 o'clock on a Friday is 5 o'clock on a Friday. There's no difference. When you're at 4, you're at 5. You guys know this. Nobody's putting in their best work at 4 o'clock on a Friday. It just doesn't exist. So why don't we do that? It's very, very simple. At 4 o'clock, it becomes 5 o'clock. And then 6 months later, at 5 o'clock, it becomes 4 o'clock. It's very easy. Oh, but I have another hour of work. You're not working hard from 4 to 5 anyway. 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, That's what we got to be doing for the next daylight scammings time. But nothing's going to be addressed. They said 2 years ago a bill was, but that's what happens. That's how things change, by the way. They get to write an article. Oh, no, they introduced a bill, and then they just hope you forget about it in like 4 years. How's that bill doing? Any updates? Yeah, I'll give you an update. This show is just about to end right now, but I do want to say, I hope you guys enjoy it. There are probably some first-time watchers here. You probably never watched this before. Well, I want to let you know, if you're a viewer of The Hockey Show or any of my sports stuff, thank you so much for watching that. And if you made it to the end of this, I'm really thrilled. This is where it all started. When I say that I'm not a handicapper, I am not. I am 1,000% not. I'm a donkey who talks like I have a Decepticon running my whole circuitry on the inside like Shia LaBeouf in one of the Transformers sequels. I've been doing that. This predates the hockey stuff, but the hockey stuff predates my whole life because I've been doing it the entire time. But yeah, if you ever wondered, like, what, this guy is, how is this guy going so crazy about hockey? Because this is the show that predates all of that. Yep, a random guy who sold drugs on Days of Our Lives many years ago is the guy who you trust with your Dallas Stars picks. Isn't that interesting? But I hope you enjoyed this. And if you're a longtime listener of this podcast, you are a true OG, and I truly appreciate you. And I'll always appreciate you. And the worst part about it is, other than like a select few of you, I'm never truly going to know. That random listener out there in Buffalo, I'd love to do something for you. But I'm not. But just like those people who say, oh, no, I'll go out on a date. No, I'm going to do something for you. But nobody's going on the date, and I'm probably not going to do something for you. But I'm going to think about it. And if I thought about it, as my friend once said, I don't need to hook up with her. All I need is to know that I could hook up with her, which is such an absurd saying. And that's how we're going to end this show, with one of my friend's rather absurd sayings. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'll be back again. I'm always back. I will never turn my back on the nonsense, because this is more important than everything. And it clearly isn't, now that the Patreon is doing very well for me, but it's most important for me because I have plans. I know people who love the hockey stuff are going to hate to hear this, but I have plans of merging the sports and entertainment. I'm taking that Top Gun role if it's given to me, and I'm running the other direction. And the only difference is you can't say that I didn't tell you that it was going to happen. So if we are cleaning out the sports books with a ton of the picks that we're given, all you got to do, if you're watching from Caesars right now, call your friends in Hollywood. When they're casting that next Top Gun, I'll get my ass in shape, call it a journey, and then deliver some of the best stuff that you've seen over there, the same way I've been delivering some pretty damn good stuff over here. I'll be back with you guys next time. Sincerely, thank you for watching. I will talk to you later.
But I didn't realize that it was actually that constant for people, that people did actually have a little kind of voice in their head telling them different things and what to do and what to think and stuff like that. I don't have that. Sometimes I will just speak it out loud. I find that, especially when I'm alone, I'll just kind of like, encourage myself out loud.